Okay, so we're starting with the squat. The feet are going to start just outside shoulder width apart. The shoulders are going to roll back away from the ears, keep the chest nice and high. We're going to bend, break at the hips, so the hips go back and down. And on the upward phase, drive through your heels and squeeze your bum. So we'll just do that again. Bum just comes parallel to the floor, shoulders back, break, keep the abs nice and braced. So we're going to go for a reverse lunge with a reach back. Starting position, shoulders are back, abs are braced nice and tight, hands are hanging down by the sides. The first movement, you're going to step back with your right leg so that the left knee is bent at 90 degrees and the back leg is about 1 inch off the floor. The arms are going to come up and you're going to reach to the opposite side of that back leg. And then you're going to reverse that movement, so you're going to come back in and back to the starting position and repeat with the left leg. So the left leg comes back, 1 inch off the floor for that back knee, right knee bent at 90 degrees, reaching over to the other side, and we're just reversing that movement. The next exercise we've got is a wide grip push-up. We're going to start with the hands just wider than the shoulder width apart. We're going to lift up onto the toes, back stays nice, flat, long and strong, and we're going to lower the body so the chest gets just as close to the floor as possible and push back through the hands. And we'll repeat that, keeping the back nice and flat and the hips up. An option is to drop to the knees, and then we're just going to repeat that movement. So keeping the chest as close to the floor as possible, and then really engaging that core on the upward phase. Okay, so the next exercise is going to be a mountain climber. We're going to assume a press up position, so the hands start under the chest, the back stays nice and flat, straight line from shoulder through to hip, down to ankle, and we're going to drive the right knee forwards into the chest and reverse, and then we're going to repeat the same with the left leg. And then as you get more and more confident with that movement, you can pick the speed up so that it almost comes into a little bit of a jog. The idea is the back stays nice and flat, the bum stays low, and the core stays engaged. So we've got a walking high knee. KT, you're going to stand tall with your feet shoulder width apart. Shoulders back, abs braced nice and tight. The first movement, the left knee is going to come as high as you can, and we're going to step forwards, and we're going to repeat on the other leg. It's driving that knee nice and high. An option if you're struggling for balance is to hold on to the knee as you move forwards, but it's all about driving that knee nice and high, bracing those abs, keeping those shoulders back.
This is the kettlebell squat. You're going to start with your feet either side of the kettlebell, bend your knees, keeping your back nice and tight as you pick the kettlebell up and bring it into your chest. You're going to maintain the kettlebell at your chest, keeping your elbows lifted as you sit down into a squat, keeping the weight through your heels, and then drive up, squeezing through the glutes as you stand, and repeat. This is the kettlebell row. Come into a staggered stance with 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Take hold of the kettlebell. Keep your chest lifted, your back nice and tight, and then draw the kettlebell in, pulling your elbow to the ceiling and returning back to your starting position. Making sure to keep your core tight and your back nice and straight. Good. One more. This is the single arm kettlebell snatch. Begin with your feet hip distance apart and the kettlebell between your feet. Bend the knees, keeping the back tight to stand to pick up the kettlebell. Bending the knees, dropping the hips back to swing the kettlebell up, overhead in one movement, keeping the arms soft and then locking out overhead. As you bring the kettlebell down in between reps, bring it to the shoulder and then through, keeping the core tight, the glute squeezed and the arm locked up tight overhead, close to your head. This is the kettlebell windmill. Start with your feet either side of the kettlebell, keep your back tight and your knees bent as you bend to pick up the kettlebell and bring it to shoulders. Drive the kettlebell up into the air, bracing your core and squeezing your glutes. Turn your toes 45 degrees to the left. Reach your left arm to your right foot as you keep your kettlebell straight up into the air and drive back up, keeping the core tight and the glutes squeezed, and repeat. This is the kettlebell swing. You're going to begin with your feet either side of the kettlebell. Bend your knees, keep your back tight to pick it up. Then bend your knees, drop your hips back to begin the swing, driving the hips through at the top of the swing, dragging it down and throwing the hips through again to increase the momentum. Make sure you keep your core tight, your glutes squeezed, and try not to overextend your back. This is the kettlebell swing flip to squat. Begin with your feet either side of the kettlebell, standing to pick up. Perform the kettlebell swing. At the top of the swing, pull the kettlebell into the chest, drop down into the squat, drive up, squeezing the glutes, and then repeat with the swing. Pull into the chest, drop down into the squat, and repeat. This is the kettlebell sit up. Beginning sitting on the floor, take the kettlebell and bring the horns into the chest. Lie back onto the floor, keeping the feet flat on the floor with the heels down. Slowly bring yourself up into a seated position, keeping the back nice and tight at the top, and return to lying down. Be sure to pull through the abs as you come up and control on the way down. Good, David, one more. This is the jog. Begin by walking and gradually bring your pace up to a steady speed. Ensure to keep the chest lifted, shoulders relaxed, and use the arms for momentum. When you're ready, gradually decrease the speed, bring it back to a walking pace, and slow to a stop.
So we're now going to be mobilizing our thoracic spine. So interlacing your fingers behind your head, lift the chest up and pull the shoulders back. Then rotate over to the left until you can feel the ribs opening up. Hold for 30 seconds on one side and then slowly rotate over to the other side. Very good, Sarah. Well done.
This exercise is the cat and camel stretch. David, if you're going to come down onto all fours. And what I'd like you to do is take a big deep breath in. Tilt your lower ribs towards the floor, round your upper back up to the ceiling. And hold that stretch. And then exhale, and as you breathe out, drop your chest towards the floor, bring your chin up slightly, and feel the stretch through your back. Well done, David.
We are now going to be stretching the hamstrings. So if you want to step in with your right foot forward, bend your left knee, place your hands over your left hip, lift your torso up and push your bottom out. Hold the stretch until you feel a nice comfortable pull onto your hamstrings for about 30 seconds and then switch legs. Okay, we're now going to be stretching the glutes. So lying down onto a gym mat, if you bend both knees, then place your right foot over your left knee. Then lifting both legs up, interlace your fingers behind your right knee and pull gently until you feel a nice comfortable stretch into your glutes. Hold for 30 seconds, then repeat on the other side. So until you feel the stretch, and then release and relax. We are now going to be stretching the quads and the hips. So lying down on a gym mat, onto one side, grasp your left ankle with your left hand, keeping the knees in line, pushing the hips forward in order to increase the stretch onto hip flexors and onto the front of the thighs. Hold for about 30 seconds on each side and then repeat on the other. We're going to switch to the other side, so rotate to the other side. Bend both knees, legs together, hips forward, and stretch. So we're now going to be stretching the calves. So with your feet hip width apart, if you step back with your right foot, bend your left knee and push your right heel down into the ground until you find a nice comfortable stretch onto a calf. Then hold for 30 seconds and repeat to the other side. So if you want to switch legs, left leg back, push your heel down and hold the stretch. You can hold your hands by your hips. So we're now going to be stretching your T-bands. So beginning with your feet hip width apart, step in with your left foot forward and lift your right arm up. Then feel the right hip traveling up towards the ceiling until you feel a nice stretch onto the side of your thigh. Keep the knees nice and soft and hold the stretch for up to 30 seconds on each side. Very good, Sarah.